Leo didn't stick around after Piper turned beautiful. Sure, it was amazing and all. She's got makeup. It's a miracle. But Leo had problems of his own to deal with. When no one was looking his way, he ducked out of the amphitheater and ran into the darkness, wondering what he had gotten himself into. He stood up in front of a bunch of stronger, braver demigods and volunteered for a mission that would probably get him killed. He hadn't mentioned seeing Tia Kaida, his old babysitter, but as soon as he heard about Jason's vision with the lady in the black dress and the goatskin cloak, Leo knew it was the exact same woman. Hera, the queen of Olympus, had been his old babysitter the whole time. Stuff like that could really deep fry your brain. As he stared at the woods, everything about today started bringing back some old painful, heart-twisting memories. The first time Tia Kaida tried to kill him, he must have been about 2. She was looking after him while his mother was working at the machine shop. She wasn't really his aunt, of course, just one of those old women in the community, a generic Tia who helped watch the kids. She smelled like a honey-baked ham and always wore a widow's dress with a furry shawl. "Let's set you down for a nap," she said. "Let's see if you are my brave little hero, eh?" Leo may have been only 2, but he could recall being nestled into some strange, rather glowing, warm orange and yellow blankets. The bed was like a cubbyhole in the wall, with a metal slot over his head and a square hole far above where he could see the stars. He remembered resting comfortably and dreaming of a flying boat sailing through the stars. He imagined himself on board navigating the sky. Everything was fine until his mother came home. She screamed as soon as she saw Leo napping. She raced over, scooped him out of there without even worrying about getting herself burned. Then she turned to Tia, yelling, "How could you?" But the old lady disappeared before she could realize. Only years later had Leo realized he had been sleeping in a blazing fireplace. The weirdest thing was that Tia hadn't even been arrested or even banished from their house. She just reappeared again several times over and over for the next few years. When Leo was 4, Tia found a rattlesnake for him. She gave him a knife and encouraged him to poke the animal. "You must learn your blades early if you are to be my hero someday," she insisted. "Where is your bravery, little hero? Show me the fates were right to choose you." Leo managed not to kill himself, but he got the feeling Tia Kaida wouldn't have cared one way or the other. Leo stared at those amber eyes, hearing the dry hiss of the snake's rattle. He couldn't bring himself to poke the snake. It didn't seem fair. Apparently, the snake felt the same way about biting a little kid. Leo could have sworn it looked at Tia Kaida like, "Are you nuts, lady?" Then it disappeared into the tall grass. The last time she babysat him, Leo was 5. She brought him a pack of crayons and paper and they sat together in the back of the apartment. While she sang her strange songs, Leo drew a picture of the boat he'd seen in his dreams with the colorful sails and rows of oars, a curved stern, and an awesome figurehead. When he was almost done and about to sign his name, the way he learned in kindergarten, a wind snatched up the picture and it flew away into the sky and disappeared. Leo wanted to cry. He spent so much time on that picture, but Tia Kaida just clucked with disappointment. "It isn't time yet, little hero. Someday you'll have your quest. You'll find your destiny, and your hard journey will finally make sense. But first, you must face many sorrows. I regret that, but heroes cannot be shaped in any other way. Now, how about you make me a nice fire to warm these old bones?" Now, after everything that happened today, Leo was sure that Tia Kaida, his psychotic babysitter, had been Hera all along. That made her his godly grandmother? His family was even more messed up than he realized. He wondered if his mom had ever known the truth, if she had known that Tia was really Hera, or the man she loved was really Hephaestus, or that her only kid had been born a fire-bending demigod who would be chosen to save the world someday. After Tia's last visit, his mom took him inside and had a long talk with him, but he only understood some of it. "She can't come back, mijo. It's better this way." His mom had been a really kind and beautiful lady, with a kind face and voice and pretty eyes and curly dark hair, But she looked older than she really was because of all the hard work. She had deep lines around her eyes and her hands were veiny. She was the first person in their family to graduate from college. She had a degree in mechanical engineering and could design anything or fix anything and build anything. Unfortunately, no one would hire her. No company would take her seriously, so she ended up in the machine shop trying to make enough money to support the two of them. When she talked with Leo, she switched from Spanish to English constantly, using them like complementary tools. It took Leo years to realize not everyone spoke that way. She even taught him Morse code as a kind of game so they could tap messages to each other when they were in different rooms. I don't care what Kaida says, his mom told him. I don't care about destiny or the fates. You're too young for that. You're still my baby. Fire is a tool, Leo, like anything else, but it's more dangerous than most. You don't know your limits yet. Please, promise me, no more fire. Not until you meet your father. And don't worry, mijo. Someday you will meet him, and he'll explain everything. Despite being so young, Leo had no trouble understanding and remembering her every word, and kept his promise ever since. At least, until earlier today. Someday he would meet his dad. His mom wouldn't answer any questions about him. He never even seen any pictures of him, but she talked about him like he was just going to the store for some milk and he'd be back any minute. Leo tried to believe her. Someday everything would make sense, and for the next couple of years, they were happy, just the two of them. Leo almost forgot about Tia Kaida. He still dreamed about the flying boat, though. It all came apart when he was 8. By then, he was spending every free hour at the shop with his mom. Then one night, they stayed late because his mom was finishing a drill bit design. If she could sell the prototype, it might change their lives, and she'd finally get a break. Every time they were ready to leave, they had to walk through the entire shop, through the break room, through the lobby, out the front door, to the parking lot, locking the doors behind them. His mom was about to lock the front door behind them when she realized she didn't have her keys. That's funny, she frowned. I could have sworn I grabbed them. Wait here, mijo. I'll be right back. She gave him one more smile, the last one he'd ever get, and she went back into the warehouse. She'd only been gone a few heartbeats when the door slammed itself shut and locked itself from inside. Ma? Leo's heart pounded. Something heavy crashed inside the warehouse. He ran to the door, but no matter how hard he pulled or kicked, it wouldn't open. Mom! He tried tapping a Morse code message on the wall. You okay? She cannot hear you, a soft voice said behind him. Leo turned around and found himself facing a strange woman. At first, he thought it was Tia. She was wrapped in dark robes and a veil covering her face. Tia, is that you? He asked. The woman chuckled, a slow, gentle sound as if she were half asleep. I am not your guardian, just a mere family resemblance. What do you want? Where's my mom? Ah, loyal to your mother. How nice. But you see, I have children too. I understand you will fight them someday when they try to wake me, and you will prevent them. But I cannot allow that. What? I don't know you. I don't want to fight anybody. She muttered like a sleepwalker in a trance. A wise choice. With a chill, Leo realized the woman was asleep. Behind the veil, her eyes were closed, but the strangest part was her clothes. They weren't made of cloth. They were made of dry soil, churning and shifting. Despite the thick veil, Leo could make out her eyes, and he could tell that they were shut. He had the horrible sense that she had just risen from the grave, quite literally. If the woman was asleep, Leo wanted her to stay that way. He knew that fully awake, she would be even more terrible. I cannot destroy you yet, the woman muttered. The fates will not allow it. But they do not protect your mother, and they cannot stop me from breaking your spirit. Remember this night, little hero, when they ask you to oppose me. I don't know what you're talking about, Leo argued. Just let my mom out. Then, like a sand sculpture, the creepy woman's body crumbled to the ground, leaving Leo alone. He struggled to pull the doors open, but then, boom! Leo woke up to find himself in an ambulance. The paramedic tried to be kind as she told him the warehouse had burned down and his mom hadn't made it out. Leo didn't dare tell them about the dirt woman, or at least that she was made of dirt and crumbled to pieces last minute. Who would believe that? He only mentioned that some woman was stalking them outside the shop, but no one could find any evidence. The police came to the conclusion that it was all Leo's fault when they figured out that the doors were locked right up until the explosion, and there was no evidence of anyone else besides Leo and his mom in the building or anywhere near it. They said he survived by some miracle, but what kind of kid locks the doors of his mom's workplace knowing that she was inside and started a fire? No one would take him in, not even his own relatives. His Aunt Rosa called him a Diablo and shouted at the social workers to take him away. So, Leo went to his first foster home. A few days after that, he ran away. Some foster homes lasted longer than others. He would joke around, make a few friends, pretended like nothing bothered him. But he always ended up running away again sooner or later. It was the only thing that made the pain feel better, feeling like he was getting further and further away from the ashes of that machine shop. Ever since his mom's death, he promised himself he would never play with fire again, until earlier today anyway. Before today, he hadn't even given much thought about Tia or the sleeping woman for a long time, and hadn't seen either of them since. As he stood at the edge of the woods, he imagined Tia Kaida's voice. "It was not your fault, my little hero. Our enemy is awakening. It is time to stop running." "Hera," Leo muttered, "you're not even here, are you? You're in a cage somewhere." There was no answer, but now at least Leo understood something. Hera had been watching him his entire life. Somehow, she'd known that one day she would need him. Leo wasn't too certain, but he knew he was meant to go on this quest. Jason's prophecy warned them to beware the earth, and Leo knew it had something to do with that sleeping woman in the shop. "You'll find your destiny," Hera had promised, "and your hard journey will finally make sense." Leo might find out what the flying boat in his dreams meant. He might even meet his father, or even get to avenge his mom's death. But first things first, he promised Jason a ride. Not the boat from his dreams. Not yet. There wasn't time to build something that complicated. He needed a quicker solution. He needed a dragon. He hesitated at the edge of the woods, peering into the absolute blackness. Owls hooted, and something far away hissed like a chorus of snakes. His cabin mates might have mentioned that it was dangerous to go into the woods alone, especially unarmed. Leo had nothing. No sword, no flashlight, no help, no joke. He could have just turned around now and tell everyone he was joking. But he wondered how long it would be before he looked like his bunkmates, sad, dejected, convinced of his own bad luck. "They can't stop me from breaking your spirit," the sleeping woman had said. "Remember this night, little hero, when they ask you to oppose me." "Believe me, lady," Leo muttered, "I remember, and whoever you are, I'm gonna faceplant you hard, Leo style." Leo took a deep breath, and with his chest high, he marched into the dark, dangerous forest, alone. As he walked through the woods, he kept looking around for whatever might make a good clue. Giant footprints, knocked down trees, lots of burning forest. Something that big couldn't exactly sneak around without leaving some obvious trail, right? But he saw nada. Then, minutes later, he saw the first trap. 100-foot wide crater, ringed with boulders. Leo had to admit it was pretty ingenious. At the bottom, a metal vat the size of a hot tub had been filled with some dark red liquid. That must have been the Tabasco sauce with motor oil Nissa mentioned. Leo had no idea what would happen if the dragon came and sprung the trap, or how long it would take his cabin mates to get over here, but he knew he couldn't let the dragon get caught if he wanted his plan to work. The real question was, where is the dragon now? His cabin mates had mentioned how they had plenty of other traps like this. What if the dragon had already fallen into another one somewhere else? And later, as if to answer his question, Leo heard a heavy crunching noise not too far behind him, like a large animal stopping through the woods. A second after that, Leo felt some thick, warm steam blowing down his neck. He turned around slowly, and there was the dragon! It seemed about 50 feet long, and its body was made of interlocking bronze plates. Its claws were the size of butcher knives, and its mouth was lined with hundreds of dagger-sharp metal teeth. Its red eyes lit up like headlights. It smelled like a chainsaw cutting through a tree. It could have bitten Leo in half easily, or even stomped on him flat. It was probably the most beautiful thing Leo had ever seen, except for one problem that completely ruined his plan. "You don't have wings," Leo said. The dragon just stared at him as if to say, "Why aren't you running away in terror?" "Hey, no offense," Leo said. "You're amazing. Good God, who made you? Are you like hydraulic or nuclear powered or what? But if it was me, I would have put wings on you. What kind of dragon doesn't have wings? I guess maybe you're too heavy to fly? I guess I should have thought of that." It took Leo a couple more seconds to realize the dragon's gaze was actually fixed on the fire in his hand, so he extinguished the flames. Then the dragon stepped closer to the pit, and Leo shouted, "No, it's a trap, Bronze Brace! They're trying to catch you!" The dragon opened its mouth and blew a hot, white column of flames billowing over Leo, more than Leo had ever tried to endure before. He felt as if he were being hosed down with a powerful, very hot fire hose. It stung a little, but he stood his ground. When the flames died, he was perfectly fine. Even his clothes were okay, which Leo didn't understand, but he was grateful for. He liked his jacket, and having his pants seared off would have been pretty embarrassing. The dragon stared at Leo. Its face didn't actually change. Being made of metal and all, Leo had guessed it was thinking, "Why aren't you dead?" "You can't burn me," Leo said, trying to sound stern and calm. He had never had a dog before, but he talked to the dragon the way he thought you might talk to a dog. "Stay, boy. Don't come any closer. I don't want you getting caught. You see, they think you're broken and have to be scrapped, but I don't believe that. I can fix you, if you let me." The dragon responded with a series of creaking and squealing and clicking noises, which Leo could only guess that was the dragon's way of communicating, but otherwise it seemed calm now. "Seriously, you need a name. I think I'll call you Festus," Leo decided. The dragon reared its teeth and grinned. Or at least Leo hoped it was a grin. "Cool," Leo said. "But we still have a problem, because you don't have wings." Then the dragon did the weirdest thing. He circled around Leo, then he crouched down and seemed to raise his butt a little higher. Then Leo realized he wanted him to get on his back. He climbed onto the dragon's back, and Festus bounded off into the woods. Leo lost track of time and all sense of direction. "Where are we going?" Leo asked. Then, as if to answer his question, he stopped. Right in front of a limestone cliff. Festus looked straight at it and lifted one leg like a dog pointing. "Nothing but solid rock. It's not going to move out of your way," Leo told him. Then the dragon made a little puff sound, causing a spark to spew out and land on the rock. The spark sizzled, and then it seemed to stretch out and spread across the boulder, forming a glowing shape and disappeared just as fast, the symbol of Hephaestus. Then, like a sliding door, the boulder moved aside, revealing a large cave. Just then, electric fluorescent lights lit up the room from above as if on automatic. The dragon marched inside as if it were coming home. "Festus," Leo said in awe, "what is this place?" The dragon didn't answer. Instead, it just seemed to make itself comfortable and curl up on a large circular platform. That's when it occurred to Leo that the dragon looked so content because it was home. It'd probably been built here in this place, maybe on that pad. The cave was the size of an airplane hangar with endless work tables and storage cases. There was a staircase that led up to a network of catwalks. There were other strange things too, like on one table, Leo saw what looked like an unfinished engine for something. Next to that, there was something that looked a lot like a giant metal egg. On the far left, there were boxes and tables containing shields and armor and other war supplies, and some weird-looking gadgets that seemed unfinished. On the far right, there were bulletin boards covered with tattered fitted blueprints and maps. Leo saw some doors on the far back wall, which he could only guess led into other rooms, and was that a hazmat suit? Then Leo just noticed some weird writing chiseled into the back stone wall. It was almost too faded to read, and the letters were in Greek, but somehow Leo knew what they said. Bunker 9. But did that mean 9 as in the Hephaestus cabin? Or 9 as in there might have been 8 more like this place?
Do the other kids know about this place?
Leo asked, but his question died as soon as he asked it. Clearly, this place had been abandoned for decades. Cobwebs and dust covered everything. The floor revealed no footprints except for his own and the dragon's huge paw prints. He must have been the first one in this bunker since a long time ago. It had been abandoned with a lot of projects half finished on the table, locked up and forgotten. But why? Leo looked at a map on the wall, a battle map of camp, but the paper was cracked and yellow. The date at the bottom read 1864.
No way,
he muttered. Then he spotted a blueprint on the table. It was almost faded beyond recognition, but when he got a good look at it, his heart almost leaked out of his throat. A Greek ship from several different angles. Faintly scrawled words underneath it read, "Prophecy Unclear Flight." It was the ship he'd seen in his dreams, the flying ship. Someone had tried to build it here, or at least sketched out the idea. Then it was left and forgotten. Weirdest of all, the ship's figurehead was exactly like the one Leo had drawn when he was 5, the head of a dragon.
Looks like you, Festus, he said. That's creepy.
The figurehead gave him an uneasy feeling, but Leo's mind spun with too many other questions to think about it. He looked around for other clues. No boats, no pieces that looked like parts of his project, but he knew he didn't have all night. He saved the dragon, but it wasn't going to help him on the quest. He needed something that would fly. Then, Festus got his attention by dropping a leather tool belt next to him. Then, the dragon switched on his glowing red eye beams and turned them up toward the ceiling. Leo looked up to where the spotlights were pointing and almost yelped when he recognized the shapes hanging above them in the darkness.
Festus, he said in a small voice, we've got some work to do.